this Kundalini awakening a few times in the previous videos. So, what will really happen if Kundalini energy is awakened in a man? The mind of a worldly man generally moves among the three lower centers, those at the navel, the solar plexus, at the sexual organ, the sacral chakra, and at the organ of evacuation, the root chakra. In that state, the mind loses all its higher visions. It broods only on lust and wealth. After great effort and spiritual practice, the Kundalini is awakened or can be awakened. Now, according to the yogis, there are three nerves or nadis in the spinal cord: the Ida Nadi, the Pingala Nadi, and the Sushumna Nadi. Kundalini is the primordial energy or Shakti said to be located at the base of the spine. Different spiritual traditions teach methods of awakening the Kundalini for the purpose of reaching enlightenment or self-realization. Now, actually, I believe we should not try to awaken it by such methods until and unless we are really ready for that stage. We should allow it to happen naturally because it is a huge source of energy by which we can create anything, but sometimes our body is not physically, mentally, emotionally ready for such a huge energetic change. We might not know how to harness that energy in the right direction. So if our soul path leads us to this awakening, then well and good. This is what I believe. Now, along the Sushumna are 6 lotuses or centers or chakras, the lowest being known as the Mooladhara. Then came successively Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Visuddha, and Ajna. These are the 6 centers inside our body. And the Kundalini lies in the lotus of the Mooladhara at the root of the spinal cord. That lotus has 4 petals. The primordial energy resides in all the 7 subtle bodies as the Kundalini, the Shakti. She is said to be of the form of a sleeping snake having the Mooladhara for her abode. The Kundalini is speedily awakened if one follows the path of Bhakti Yoga or devotion. Now, this Kundalini, when awakened, passes through the lower centers and comes to the Anahata, which is at the heart, that is the heart chakra. It stays there, and at that time the mind of the aspirant is withdrawn from the 3 lower centers or from the materialistic world. When the mind dwells there, one has the first glimpse of spiritual consciousness. One sees light all around. Such a man, perceiving the divine light, becomes speechless with wonder and exclaims, what is this? This mind does not go downward to the objects of the world or the materialistic things. Now, these centers or chakras are each related to the 7 subtle bodies or planes, which we talked about in the earlier videos. The center at the heart corresponds to the 4th plane. According to the Tantra, there is in this center a lotus called Anahata with 12 petals. The center known as Visuddha that is throat chakra, is related to the fifth plane. This center is at the throat and has a lotus with 16 petals. When the Kundalini reaches this plane, the aspirant becomes free from all ignorance and illusions. When the mind reaches that plane, one does not enjoy talking or hearing about anything but the ultimate reality. If people talk about worldly or illusionary things or materialistic subjects, he might even leave the place. Then comes our sixth plane, related to our Ajna chakra. This center is located between the eyebrows and it has a lotus with 2 petals. The third eye, okay? When the Kundalini reaches this plane, the aspirant sees the form of Satchidananda, that is existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. But even then, a little trace of ego remains. At the sight of that incomparable beauty of Satchidananda's form, one becomes intoxicated and rushes forth to touch and embrace it. But one doesn't succeed. It is like a light inside a lantern. You may think you have touched the light, but in reality you cannot because of the barrier of the glass. That is our crystallized ego. And last of all is the seventh plane, which according to Tantra is the center of the 1,000-petaled lotus called Sahasra or the crown chakra. When the Kundalini arrives there, the individual soul and the Supreme Soul becomes one. The aspirant goes into Samadhi. The consciousness of the body disappears. He loses the knowledge of the outer world. He does not see the manifold, that is duality, anymore. His reasoning comes to a stop. Duality, or pair of opposites, is the illusory nature of existence, such as inside and outside, light and dark, this or that, right or wrong, positive and negative, you and me, and so on, In Samadhi, one attains non-duality, that is Advaita, and merges with the oneness of the ultimate reality. In that lotus dwells Satchidananda Shiva, the Absolute. There Kundalini, the awakened power, unites with Shiva, and this is known as the union of Shiva and Shakti. That is the divine masculine and the divine feminine. In Samadhi, one attains the knowledge of Brahman, ultimate reality. One realizes Brahman. In that state, reasoning stops altogether, and man becomes mute. Silence in the mind. He has no power to describe the nature of Brahman, the cosmos. After the vision of Brahman, man becomes silent, means he reasons about it as long as he has not realized it. When he realizes the vastness, he becomes silent. When the Kundalini rises to the crown chakra and the mind goes into Samadhi, the aspirant loses all consciousness of the outer world. He can actually no longer retain his physical body. He gives up his body in 21 days. And that is the condition of the Brahmajnani, that is fully enlightened soul. There are some who come down, as it were, after attaining the knowledge of Brahman, after Samadhi, or the ego of knowledge and the ego of devotion is retained. That is their soul path. The source retains this ego so that they may teach other people. Their minds move between the 6th and the 7th planes. The great sages such as Narad, Sanak, Sananand, Sanatan, Sanat Kumar, after attaining the knowledge of Brahman, kept the ego of devotion for the purpose of teaching other people. Shankaracharya and Sukadev kept the ego of knowledge for the same purpose. They are like big steamships which not only cross the ocean themselves but carry many passengers to the other shore. A man's spiritual consciousness is not fully awakened, unless his Kundalini is aroused. So, one should also engage oneself in praying to the source or God, or that connection that he finds with the source within himself. The Kundalini is aroused if the aspirant feels the restlessness for God, that is, for that connection,